Hey, Omar here from Sasco Digital Assets, and we have today's Bitcoin market update. So let's get right to it. Today, we're right now just ranging, like we said we'd be doing, between 30 and 40. We're more right now between 30 and 35K. Current price is 34,000. Why? Okay, every day on these exchanges is a battle between the bulls and the bears. And it's a constant fight. What we're not seeing that we saw that was typical of this cycle, if you see all through here, see a lot of volume, okay? But we see a drop off in volume. And when you don't have volume, you don't have metrics. And when you don't have metrics, it's very difficult to decide where the market's gonna be moving. So a lot of indecisiveness in the market right now. In the previous video, I made a statement that traders and institutional investors, they sell in May and they go away for the summer. That appears to be what's happening. How long is this going to play out for? Could be a couple of weeks. A lot of times the market changes on news. What will the catalyst be is something that we're going to be looking out for. I'm going to show you later on 2013 and how it compares to now. And you can see that in 2013, we had a cycle that looked very similar to what we're seeing right now. Let's look at the exchange balances. So here we are. This is the May 19th event that created a whole lot of supply on the exchanges. And if we trace this back, we see it was effectively the same level of supply that we had back in December. In December, the price was around 20,000. Today, the price is about almost double that. So this market here, this bull market, brought in a lot of new investors, a lot of long-term holders that are now holding their Bitcoin at the new price level, and that's creating a level of support and a level of stability. Again, we're going to keep on watching this, and we want to see how this develops. This increase in supply is going to take time to get soaked up off the markets, and until those sellers get exhausted, we're really not going to see the price go up. So we really need new demand to come in. Where's that new demand going to come from? I think it's institutional. And again, institutional is not going to come back until later in the summer. Why are investors feeling weary? Okay, reports like this. JP Morgan says Bitcoin may dump to 25,000. Here's the problem. They're saying that so in the next couple of weeks, GBTC is going to be unlocked. What that means is that investors that invested into GBTC are going to be taking the shares that become unlocked and selling those shares. That is not Bitcoin that's being sold on the markets. That's shares that are being sold on brokerages like Fidelity and other brokerages that offer GBTC. There's not many. Why is JPMC erroneous? Just like everyone else, they're still learning about this. They don't have the experience. It's not their primary business. So you see a lot of big institutions, JP Morgan, you see other big banks that are coming out with statements and announcements that when you really dig into the details, because they don't have a deep understanding of how Bitcoin works and how the markets work, they release erroneous information. And people look to big banks and this kind of, the larger players for advice and guidance. And when they misreport something, unfortunately, investors, make poor decisions based on the information that they're seeing. So something to keep in mind, something to look for, and that's why, educating on Bitcoin is super important if you're going to be investing in this asset class. What do I look for? I look for trends. I look for trends in adoption. This is the Bitcoin Lightning Network. This is layer 2. What does it do? Instant payments, free payments. Effectively free. You can send a lot of money over the Lightning Network for a penny, 2 pennies, and what are we seeing? 30% increase in adoption over the last year. Incredible. I also look at press and news releases. So we have NYDIG. NYDIG is killing it with partnerships. They're killing it with growing out the infrastructure. Here they partner with Fiserv, NCR, Q2. Q2 is a company that provides the web admin, the websites that smaller banks use to interact with their clients. And they've partnered with them so that they can very easily provide clients that use those smaller banks access to Bitcoin. 30% of the Q2 base, I believe, is going to be activated with NYDIG. So those customers are going to be able to buy Bitcoin right through their bank account. That's a really exciting infrastructure development. If we look at technologies, let's say like the .com technologies or the internet. In the late 90s, there was a massive speculative wave in .com companies that was effectively put to an end by a lack of infrastructure. So infrastructure is key. Those pipes that are being built allow new audiences to come into Bitcoin, allow new participants, and so infrastructure is a key component, and we see that continuing to grow. But this is a lagging metric because if you gotta think that these announcements are coming out in June. They've been in the works for a while. They were in the works when Bitcoin was on a real uptrend. These deals, we want to see if they continue to happen over the next couple of weeks and months. So again, these are all things that we have to continue looking at. But if you're a long-term investor, patience is key. Let's look at the 2013 cycle. So in 2013, we had a run-up, right? Sound familiar? Then we had a correction, and then we had a multi-month. This is April, and this is October. Multi-month downturn, okay? We went sideways. Great opportunity if you picked up here, here, and here, okay? And then on October 1st, what happened? On October 1st, it was the seizure of the Silk Road, which was a website, for those that don't know, it was a website that was a place where you can go for illicit activities, buying drugs, buying all sorts of illicit types of things. And it was a real problem for Bitcoin investors because Bitcoin investors saw that the primary use case at the time was a site that offered illicit kind of materials. So on that day, we saw a capitulation event and the price took off. And the reason why I'm illustrating this is because a lot of times what will put an end to indecisiveness or accumulation cycles or consolidation cycles is a catalyst. And it happened in 2013 that was the catalyst. Will there be a catalyst this time or something that changes the narrative? It could be. We see inflation continuing to get more aggressive. I'm going to pull up the DXY here. You can see that the dollar is just on a crazy downtrend. Okay, this doesn't look too good. This looks a little toppy here. And you're hearing it in the news. You're seeing it. Inflation is really starting to take hold. And as that narrative takes hold, people are going to be looking for ways to hedge against it. And I don't believe there's any better hedge against inflation than Bitcoin because of all the properties that made you an investor. Let's touch on one last thing real quick. Last week we talked about the difficulty adjustment. We had a difficulty retarget. We're now down 27% from where we were last week. This happened on Saturday morning. And we have a further difficulty retarget that's going to be coming, and we're going to watch what that difficulty retarget looks like. But right now it's trending between minus 10 and minus 4%. What does it mean? Again, nothing. If you're a miner, you're more profitable because it's easier to mine Bitcoin. If you're sending transactions, if you're investing, doesn't mean anything. And one last thing before we go, this is the hash rate view, and we're at a hash rate of where we were back in 2019. So what is hash rate? Hash rate is a total amount of processing power that the miners are applying to the network. It's a measure really of security, and we are overprescribed on security. It doesn't really mean anything. So again, nothing to be concerned with. The reason why I'm going through this is because you might see news stories about hash rate, you might see news stories about the difficulty retarget, but at the end of the day, you got to put it into context, and if you're a long-term investor, it really doesn't affect, it doesn't affect the way I look at my investment, and it shouldn't affect yours. Okay, so the key takeaway for today is that if you're in it for the long term, then you're looking at the news and you're looking at the market indecisiveness and you're being patient. And patience is a virtue in investing in Bitcoin, no difference than patience was a virtue in investing in Amazon in '99. At the same time that Sears was talking about never going to .com, Amazon was there, they were building their infrastructure, they were investing in their processes, and they are what they are today. A lot of people got shaken out because they didn't think that the internet was going to last. Sears was against going onto the internet, and if you were someone that held the same view as Sears, then you missed out on one of the greatest investment opportunities of a lifetime. And I don't see this as any different here. I'm patient and I'm taking a long-term view, and we've seen this before. We saw it in 2013, 2015. We saw it in 2016, 2017 during the bull cycle. Multiple corrections, but if you're patient and you just kept track of the narrative and you held core to your thesis, you ended up being very profitable. I hope you enjoyed this week's update. If you like what you saw, hit subscribe on the channel, like the video, check out our website, sascodigital.com. Sign up there, and we're going to be announcing products and services that can help you on your Bitcoin journey. Until next time.